Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will tell you some things about shifting on the violin, also known as position changes. Let us start with theoretically breaking down what kind of shifts there are on the violin or on the viola. I have here my awesome new whiteboard, so you can see here we have a shift from the same finger to the same finger. For example, with the first finger you shift and the start and end note is the first finger. Then we have B from a lower finger to a higher finger. For example, you start with the first finger and you end with the third finger, or you start with the first and end with the second finger. And C, we have a higher finger to a lower finger. So for example, we start with the second finger and we end in the new position with the first finger. So the finger is lower in the end position. D, blind position change. This is, for example, when you go over an open string into a new position. So for example, you play the B, first finger on the A string, then the open A, and then you go into third position to the F sharp on the A string. So you don't have a finger sliding, but you have to do it silently over the string. Now I will show you how this looks on the violin. So the first category was sliding with the same finger. This is actually pretty simple, but also can be hard if you don't have the right technique. For this one, it is important to release the pressure of the thumb and the actual finger itself too. So we have a note we play and then we release both and then we go into third position with the same finger. We can do this up and down the fingerboard. It is actually good if you practice this and hold your violin here so your left hand can really relax and you don't have to hold it too much here with the chin. It is important that you have a good hold here with the shoulder rest and a good chin rest that fits your body. So that was the first category. Of course, you can do this with all fingers, from the second to second, from third to third, fourth to fourth, and of course on every string, and also with string crossings. So now we come to the second category. And what I will introduce to you now is the term intermediate note. When we make a shift in the second category from a lower finger to a higher finger, then we have the possibility to play an intermediate note. This is a note which serves us as a guidance to reach the new position. So for example, if you play the B on the A string, then we go to third position and we want to play the E finally, but now we have the intermediate note, the D. Before we reach the D, we don't place the second finger, the E. So we have B, intermediate note D and E. So we have the B, intermediate note D, and then E is our new note. And the faster you do that, the less you should hear the intermediate note. And of course you can hide it a little bit with the bow. So you play loudly the B and the intermediate note very silently. And then the final note, the E, you play louder. Okay, let's go to the third category, which is from a higher finger to a lower finger. This kind of fingering is important for scales, for example. At some point when you go up the fingerboard, you want to go from maybe the second finger to the first finger in the new position. So you make a position change again from first to third position, but now we have the C as the starting note, the second finger on the A string, and then we slide with the C to the E. This is our intermediate note now. It is higher than the pitch we want to land on. And then we play the D. I will show you how that sounds. C, E intermediate note, D. When you actually play music and you are not practicing shifts, you should be aware that your intermediate note stops, or your bow stops playing the intermediate note before it reaches above the pitch you want to aim. So you want to go from the C to the D, so you change your finger in between the shift. This is also a reason why I put it in the third category, because it's harder to do than the shift from a low finger to a higher finger. When you do a shift in the third category, from a higher finger to a lower finger, from the second to the first, you have to change during the shift. Let us come to the third category, which is the blind position change. The blind position change happens when you have an open string between the notes where the position change happens. For example, we stay simple and stay on the A string on the same notes. We play the B on the A string, then we play the open string, so no finger at all, and then we want to play the F sharp, third finger, third position. Now we have to measure just by feeling the distance where we have to land our F sharp in the third position. So we play the B, open, and then we hit the note hopefully perfectly in tune. So B, open string, and then F sharp. This is the hardest of the categories of shifting, because you cannot really use your ears as a guidance, but you have to know the distances on the fingerboard very well. So for example, if you want to go very high, you see, this was a random note, so it was quite easy. But I hit it the second time, the same note, then I tried to hit it again, and it was a little bit off, because it's very hard for me as well to hit this note when I play an open string between the shift. So that are the 4 different categories of shifting. Of course, we don't have to shift always up, we also have to go down the fingerboard. The principles are basically the same. So for example, if you want to go from a low finger to a higher finger down the fingerboard, a D here, intermediate note B, and C is our final note. This is a possibility to practice and also play in concert shift downwards. Just make sure that the intermediate note cannot be heard so loud. If you want to make a shift from a higher finger to a lower finger, when you make a downshift, it's actually easier than the second category. For example, you go from the E to the C intermediate note, and then you play the first finger B. It's very good to practice this second and third category with intermediate notes. Let me tell you some general things about shifting, which are very important. As I said, the thumb position and the thumb pressure is very important. So you don't want to cramp on the violin, similarly to the vibrato, and your position should not be up here around the neck, but more under the violin. Because if you want to go in higher positions, your thumb has to go really under the neck. And I am lucky, so to say, I have big hands. I can go up here with my thumb still under the neck. When you have smaller hands, sometimes your finger can also go like here, and then you have to go back like this. Regarding the thumb movement, it is generally a good thing if you move the thumb with your fingers. So not like this or like this. Not the thumb before the fingers and then the fingers before the thumb. In old times, when there was no shoulder rest and chin rest, people used this sliding technique much more with the thumb, because otherwise the violin would slip down or release its hold, or they had to cramp very much with the head. So with the shoulder rest, the violin should be in a position where the hand can freely move up and down, and if the pressure of the thumb and the finger is light enough, then you can leave them both in one position. This has the advantage that you can always maintain your hand frame, which is very, very important if you want a successful position change and if you want to play in tune in both positions, the starting and the final position. For practicing position changes, I will later show you a book which I will link to you in the description below. It's from Ottokar Šefčík. It's very basic but getting advanced very fast. So if you are not familiar with first position yet, and you of course should be able to read notes already, then I wouldn't recommend you this book. But if you have some experience in the first and third position and you understand the notes and how to read them, then it is one of the best books to learn position changes. So for example, this is one of the exercises. So we play. Some notes in the first position, then we slide one position with the first finger, and then we play some notes in the second position, and then we slide back with the second finger and play some notes in the first position again. It is very important that you always, when you make an exercise or if you practice changing the position, that you play some notes in the starting position to make sure your hand frame is correct and your intonation is spot on. And then you make the position change. During that you have to listen very carefully if you are in the right position with your starting finger and your intermediate note and your final finger, of course. And then when you are in the final position, please make sure that all your fingers are also in this position. Because when we go higher up the fingerboard, the distances between the fingers are getting smaller and smaller. So the half steps are getting really, really small up here, and the whole steps also get smaller. If you are accustomed to adapt your hand frame from the beginning to the new position, you will be able to have a higher possibility to be in tune in the new position. One thing you have to keep in mind also, never forget the bow, because the bow has to adjust its contact point also the higher we go. When we are in the first position, a contact point like this is okay, but if we are in a higher position, it's not okay. It doesn't work anymore. So we have to go nearer to the bridge. That wasn't the most beautiful note, but I just wanted to show you that the contact point should move the higher we go on the fingerboard, nearer to the bridge. So those are the general outlines of shifting and position changes on the violin and viola. If you have any questions, please write in the comments below this video. And if you want to check out the exercises, I can show you from the outside. This is Ottokar Ševčík, a very famous teacher. And he is famous for having a very structural approach, but also, on the other hand, very dry approach to the violin. So these exercises are only for them who come with lots of patience and also a little bit of time. But for people who really want to learn how to change the position, or who want to work on getting more constant in intonation and more secure in the position change, this book is very good. But make sure that you follow the principles. Don't press too hard with your left hand. Always release the pressure when you make a shift, and remain in the correct hand frame for the actual position you are in. Movement wise, there are some things to consider when you go in really high positions. For example, the hand will go in a more horizontal position in very high positions, and the elbow moves from more on the outside in the first position to more on the inside under the violin, or even on the right side of the violin body. And also the forearm will go from a more horizontal angle to a more vertical angle, like this. These are all things to keep in mind if you have problems reaching the really high notes. Sometimes I see students go up the fingerboard and then forgetting to go around with the forearm and go under the violin with the thumb. And then if you do that, you cannot really reach the fourth finger. Try to always have a hand position in which you are able to play the fourth finger as well, even if you don't have to. It's a good preparation for faster passages where you will need the fourth finger maybe. And in general, it's a better and cleaner technique. And having a good and clean technique on the violin is very important to successful playing it and playing in tune and having fun while playing, and having the mind free to focus on some other things like articulation and dynamics and rhythmical precision. So I hope this video helped you. Please write in the comments how you like my awesome whiteboard. If this video helped you, leave it a like and subscribe to my channel, of course, if you haven't. I'm very happy to say and see that I have now on my channel close to 900 subscribers. This is a big honor for me, and I'm happy that I can help you with my videos. I hope that's the reason why you are subscribed to my channel, and also entertain you sometimes with my music and the stuff I do. If you want to help me, you can also share this video with your friends and your family, and maybe they will also learn how to shift properly. So there will be a second part where I will present you some exercises. This will come later. First, I want to go in one of the next videos into double stops and the basics of double stops. So have fun practicing, have a good summer, and stay tuned. The thumb position and the